This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
I offer you the contract to deliver him to me alive.
Where do I find him?
He's to be moved across the border and taken to an army barracks at Zimbabwe.
And you want me to intercept him and deliver him to you?
Correct.
Julius Limbani is alive.
I don't care.
Yes, you do.
I'm finished with all of that. I'm getting too old. And by the way, so are you.
I've got Ray for Jarvis.
Good. You haven't got Sean Fitch.
Alan, what? Not even a hearty handshake?
Car just pulled up to the back door.
Sean.
Sean Finn. How are you, Peter? Why would you be looking for me?
With Taggart, age 42, sir. 12 years in the Black Watch, rank of sergeant.
Blake, Jesse, Donaldson, sir.
Whitty, Arthur, sir, age 43, medical orderly.
The countdown has started for the Wild Geese, 50 steel-hard mercenaries. They train like dogs. They fly like birds. They fight like jackals.
Now, Limbani's being delivered tomorrow night.
The Wild Geese. Fighting is their business. Killing is their trade. Their mission, to save the life of the president of a new African nation.
Sit still, right where you are. Don't move.
You okay? Find Captain Johns. If he's set, tell him to send Lieutenant Finn to take the airport.
Whites have carried you people on our backs ever since we came to this country. You need me to save your miserable black life right now, don't you?
Then you may need me to save yours. We need each other, white men.
Hey, cover!
We mixed. We loaded it. We edited it.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
Going to the Navarone, a little bit on that. What movie do you think it has inspired the most, just with the ensembles? And I mean, because I saw The Monuments Men in theaters.
That's with
Matt Damon, John Goodman, George Clooney, Bill Murray, and I thought it was a fun, slow burn not and didn't understand all the hate. But then what's funny is I saw it again a year later at a party, and boy, it killed. Everyone was like, "That was really exciting and historically engaging," And I think just the marketing department screwed it up, and whoever was at the press release tanked it. They're like, "Oh, it's the next Ocean's 11, but it's not." I'm like, "Well, then you just killed your own movie hype. It's not supposed to be that."
I've been meaning to check it out, but I haven't. And isn't it kind of a bit off kilter movie, kind of?
It really is, but that's kind of what makes it work. You're getting an idea of what they do every day when they shower.
I know George Clooney had something. George Clooney had something to do with the TV show that was only a few episodes.
Oh yeah, there was Catch 22, but yep. Like in this, he's the leader, but he's not in Danny Ocean mode. He's actually being very reserved and everything. It's pretty much a return to a Free Kings type role for him. But it's kind of a good companion piece to John Frankenheimer's The Train. Stop the Nazis from destroying all these, paintings and other valuables and just stuff that you're preserving the heritage. So again, there's a big presence on the mission. It's not just let's blow up, the next inconsequential, bunker or tank gun. It's like, no, let's infiltrate this and, lay some traps and then get all this art supplies out of here, before this place is ready to detonate, so there's some extra just pressure. And I think everyone I don't know how they marketed everything. I think people just thought, oh, it's going to be another Ocean's 11 in World War II. And it's like, that's not what it is.
There's a movie that came out in 1969 that we missed called Castle Keep. Have you ever seen that movie? Sidney Pollack did it.
I think Burt Lancaster. Holy shit.
Yeah, Lancaster, Patrick O'Neill, Peter Falk. Scott
Okay,
Wilson.
I think I did see this. I had trouble getting into it, but it was very well shot.
We can hit that one more kill.
Peter Falk, we'll have to create a list of these movies because I'll probably try to check some out.
So what did you love about this one, James?
From what I remember, it was just a very bleak movie. From what I remember, it was very sort of like where there's a heroic ending in Navarone, because you got they do lose the majority of the guys, but it's like they did it under heroic circumstances. This one was kind of like a kick in the pants, because Lancaster's character is like glory or nothing,
Yeah,
and
all blood and
all blood and blood and guts. I want we defend everything at all costs, and you're just like, dude, you're talking out of your ass with this shit, And that's the one thing I don't. I mean, I can barely remember. I remember seeing as a kid. My father was like, "It's a good movie." And I'm like, "So everybody spoiler, everybody dies at the end." And he's like, "No, just you got to watch it, just to understand where we're coming from here." But yeah,
but yeah, Sidney Pollack is definitely one of the greats. Just organizing actors and having unusual themes.
Came out, I think, a couple months before They Shoot Horses, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah. But yeah,
don't shoot your horse.
Yeah, the Man on the Mission movies. They're the Men on the Mission movies. There's one I think I wanted to bring it. I totally forgot to bring it up in the Killer Be Killed series, the second one, To Kill and Kill Again.
Yeah, yes. James Ryan. Yeah.
Oh God, it's like, okay. They were like, okay, we can't do a war movie, so we'll bring Steve Chase back, and we'll make him a spy, almost like a spy, but he knows karate, and he has to take
karate.
Both of those movies have been riff tracks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I've been a fan of James Ryan since Space Mutiny.
Yep.
Ever since I saw those movies on Cinemax, and they were on Cinemax a lot.
I know, James. How dare you, sir? You got to call it by the right name.
You know,
Max. Here we go.
Max, yeah. They were on, they were on like 2 o'clock in the afternoon during the summer. My mother would be like, "It's too hot. Stay inside and watch movies."
I've never heard of this
fine.
movie. What is this movie? Yeah.
The second one, he has to put together a team to go into this country, or it's like this compound of this guy called Marduk, who's making a mind control drug out of potatoes.
Yeah. And they have all these Kurosawa type shots. Just it's the typical Seven Samurai type formula.
And then the thing that gets me the most is like, he puts together, like, the one guy's named Gorilla, so he's a big black guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. You've got Hot Dog, who's basically the Looney Tunes. You've got the Gypsy Billy, who lives in a trailer park. You've got the Fly, who's like this mystical guy.
Yeah,
and then you've got,
they give them outrageous names.
Yeah, and then you got Candy Cane, who's the beautiful blonde, who's actually, I think, Miss World. And they were just like, "All right, put her in the movie. Let's see how we do here." Okay, fine. And
you're doing good, gal. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thing that gets me the most is when we watch that movie, there's like the guy who played Gorilla was a guy named Ken Gampu, it was Ken Gampu. He was actually like one of the most revered actors in South Africa.
Oh wow.
And yeah, he was really well loved. And from what I can remember, I love this part where they're doing the he's doing the tug of war, and he falls in the mud. And the mud's like, Blake's like, "Hey, Gorilla, that color suits you." So then he goes after Steve. Steve and him are playing around. And he throws him in the ground, and Steve's is covered with like brown mud. He goes, "Oh, Steve, that color suits you." And I'm like, "Oh boy, that wouldn't fly in this day and age." But you know what?
Much like the bloody Bushido blade, you gotta just go with it. I'm so glad you guys brought up James Ryan, because I was actually gonna, when thinking of other movies to talk about on the side, I was thinking about this obscure movie James Ryan was in, where he plays a retrieving stolen money in South Africa, called Pursuit. Came out in '91, and it's on MGM all the time. But it was just one of those. I'm sure it got plenty of cable TV play on like Stars or Cinemax, and it was just one of those, just much like Let's Get Harry or just some of those other obscure McBain type movies. Like, it gets just straight. It goes along with its goofy premise. First 10 minutes are much like Uncommon Valor. The first 10 minutes are training everybody, and then the rest is just creeping around and then kicking ass. It was like, see, that's okay. That's that kind of movie.
And I've seen trailers for a couple other ones. Sort of in the blaxploitation era, there was the one where they had like 5 people who could kick ass, and there was also one
five on the black side. 5 on the black side.
Yeah, and then there was also one called Force 5 that had martial arts masters, and that all talking about those James Ryan movies made me think, oh my god, I remember the trailers for those.
Yeah,
the one that one I saw the trailer for at the Exhumed Fest, right? And we're watching it, and when Benny the Jet Yukitas came on, everybody started cheering because he's like the man,
And this was a more recent festival you went to?
This was a festival that was in 2020. 2022, yeah, 2022.
Awesome.
They just opened up. This is Fox Force. It's Ernie Anderson doing, who was in it? It was Bong Soo-han was in it. The guy who was in Billy Jack, and he also played the bad guy in a Kentucky Fried Movie with a Fistful of Yen.
Yes.
It was that guy's also.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that guy's also in Megaforce.
He is?
I think so.
I don't want to take this reaction. No way. Yeah.
Who the hell is he in that movie?
I could be wrong, but I thought he was in Megaforce as well.
Let's look it up. What's his name?
From Kentucky Fried Movie.
Okay, it's Hong Bong-soo.
Oh no, I know who you're talking about. Brian, not Brian Tochi, right? Was it Brian Tochi? No,
that was not Brian Tochi. That was a different. Brian Tochi was a guy who he wasn't in that movie, but there was one guy that was in Kentucky Fried Movie that was also did a couple episodes of ISIS back in the day.
I don't recommend joining ISIS. I know what you're talking about. I'm just.
Oh, I should say the secrets of ISIS to separate that from the bad reference.
Okay, so here's
the 75 show.
Here's who was in it. It was Joe Lewis, who was a martial arts champion, right? You've got Bong Soo-han, Sonny Barnes, who I think was like a 3-time heavyweight karate champion. Richard Norton, Benny the Jet Yukites, okay? Yep. Amanda Wiss was in it from
George Lazenby.
George, yeah. I'm like watching like Benny the Jet Yukites, and everybody went ballistic with Benny the Jet Yukites. I know you're talking about in Megaforce. Shit. I know him because
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see.
Just roll Barry Boswick out of the way.
I'm trying to see if he's in the cast, but I'm not seeing him. Strangely enough, looking at the cast, I can see Michael J. Nelson is in the cast for some reason.
Oh my God!
Because he did the riff tracks, probably. But I mean,
God.
Evan C. Kim.
Evan Kim, yes.
Evan Kim was in,
and Henry Silva,
and Michael Beck from the Warriors.
Yeah,
I love
in fact, this was like the first movie he made after Xanadu, and everyone was going, Michael Beck's this movie.
This movie. Yeah.
George Firth. Yes, George Firth. Okay.
Sweet. Now, surely you guys 1 down, 2 to go.
No,
Blaxploitation martial arts movie. Jim Kelly.
Okay, all right.
Richard Roundtree.
Yes.
Jim Brown.
All right.
Oh, that also brings up another one.
Free
the Hard Way. Original Gangsters.
It is like Free the Hard Way. Original Gangsters was definitely, by Larry Cohen, and that was pretty much my intro to those movies. Like I could see the earlier stuff they did, But yeah, Take a Hard Ride, and there was another one Jim Brown and Lee Van Cleef did.
There's one Boot Hill. What's it called? Boot Hill.
Yeah, Take a Hard Ride. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Take a Hard Ride. I remember that one. There's one. It's Terrence Stamp, Woody Strode, or not Terrence Stamp, Terrence Hill, Woody Strode. Whiskey Boot Hill, I think it was called, or Boot Hill or something like that.
Yes. Oh my God, Boot Hill.
Yeah. I remember that. Very well. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm looking at Megaforce right now. Jeez. Wow. How much money did it make?
I'm sure it only had
enough for Chico, but not enough for a sequel.
I worked showing Megaforce in 1982.
Ace freaking Hunter. Oh my God.
And he puts up the thumb, and he puts up the thumb, and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ! And it's the reason why I love Barry Bostwick, even though he'd done Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I lost it seeing his bike flying in the air.
Oh God!
And Perseus Kambata's in that too. From
Oh yeah, V'ger. Yep. Oh baby, that woman.
Can't believe how good
like her better bald though.
No, I like her hair.
I'll take Perseus anywhere. That's there's no wrong answer.
What was the movie she was in on Mystery Science Theater?
Warrior of the Lost World.
Warrior of the Lost World. With Robert Ginty.
Oh man.
You're on your own now, Amy. I gotta say this. Whenever they do a movie with, there are 5 men trying to get, it's like, okay, we've seen this before. Let's see how the story goes. That's what I think of when I think of Man on the Mission movie. 10 10 guys picked out to
The
take out
LaFontaine
this guy.
voice introduces it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
Well, before it was Dan Fontaine was Ernie Anderson. You know, Ernie Anderson, the guy who was the voice of ABC for such a long time. You know, these guys are back and they're ready to kick ass. You know, there's a movie you guys never saw called Sudden Death, 1975.
I think
Robert Conrad.
Yep.
Robert
Conrad. This is not Black Sheep Squadron.
No. It was one of those grindhouse type movies.
Yeah, I finally got to see it. It's him, Don Stroud. I'm trying to think who played the black guy in it because he had to have the black partner.
Murph the Surf.
Who?
That's what it's showing us.
Oh no.
Don Stroud and Robert Conrad.
Don Stroud.
Donna Mills.
Robert. No. That she wasn't in that.
It's about bank robbers.
No. Let's see.
Wow.
Sudden Death.
IMDb, help me.
1975.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I probably didn't see that movie. I think I saw the trailer in my 42nd Street collection.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's known as Live a Little, Still a Lot, as well.
Yeah, the movie Sudden Death was in 1977. It had Robert Conrad, Thayer David, Larry Manetti.
Oh, 77. Okay, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah. When Ed Nelson's, Ken Metcalf's entire family is viciously murdered, he pleads with retired CIA operative Duke Smith
for a while. Yeah.
Robert Conrad to investigate. Smith refuses but relents after Nelson too meets explosive death. With the aid of former associate Wyatt Spain, Felton Perry, Smith attempts to find out who was responsible for the death of Nielsen and his family. Meanwhile, a government agent named John Ashley, one of his men follows Smith, and Shaw is working as members of Nielsen's company to get him to do some sympathy for some people who are fighting for the rights who call themselves the Brown Hats. Jesus God.
Those names.
Shaw enlists the services of hitman Dominic Aldo, Don Stroud, from Corsica to take care of Smith. Smith has an associate named Buffalo Tinker, Angelo Ventura, takes his daughter, Nancy Conrad, and his wife, Maya Aileen Sampson, into hiding until things blow over. Aldo kills Tinker, and Smith and Spain kill the men responsible for the deaths of Nielsen and his family.
These guys basically just went for the motions. They should have they should have made it be more like a serial. Will he escape? Find out on the next,
Oh, God. It was originally supposed to be for Jim Kelly and Robert Conrad, but Kelly dropped out.
Jim Kelly's like, I ain't into that shit.
Kelly's like, I'm making how much compared to him?
I'm making all these bizarre samurai movies with lasers and...
Black Samson. Code name, oh, Jesus.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, they pretty much would give him weird spy movies, and I had trouble finding his movies for the longest time, and it didn't help that IMDb would often have them at like a 2 out of 10. I'm like, they're not that bad. The guy was in freaking Enter the Dragon. Come on.
I saw that one you could call Black Samson.
Yeah.
Code name. Yeah.
And you gotta have the black exploitation music playing.
Oh yeah. Well, this one's totally different. This one is it's like who's it's like he is he's they have like the one character goes, Jackson, whose side is he on? It's like, what the fuck, man? Come on, make up your mind.
There's apparently a Black Lightning inspired character on that cartoon show, Invincible.
Oh my God.
So it is Wild House. So many are Super Friends type characters will have a name that's like that's a total tribute to a blaxploitation type.
Would you consider the Avengers a man on a mission movie?
Yeah, anything kind of like the Justice League or that.
Yeah.
As long as you're showing that they got all these different powers and they bring their own personas to the team. If it's like X-Men, if it's like that, I'm cool with that. But don't have it be just they show up and they're just there. They gotta actually. they don't even need weapons to be a team. They, it can be mystery men or it can be,
Well, I found out something. John Ashley, the guy who was in Sudden Death, was in Attack of the Eye Creatures on Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
He also wound up working for Stephen J. Cannell and was producing and produced the A-Team.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
John Ashley's the guy that did a lot of those. John Ashley's the guy that did a lot of those. I can't, Korean or not Korean, but
Filipino.
Filipino. That's it. He did a lot of those movies.
Sweet. Yeah, there was plenty of money there. If you weren't doing a giallo mystery in Italy, you were probably doing a weird. Jack Nicholson had some post Roger Corman phase. He had some Filipino war movies that he did in the 60s. And often, much like any Corman type production, just half the time, outtakes from one movie would just form like 2 to 3 movies. It's just.
Oh my God. Okay. I just looked up Ashley's career. Ashley was cast in a co-starring role with Brian Kelly on the ABC Adventure series Straight Away, set in an automobile mechanic shop and focusing on the strip of drag racing.
What?
I keep thinking of the fucking thing they did on The Simpsons with he wakes up, Smithers wakes up, he's like, it's 1966 and we're detectives on the drag racing circuit. And I was like, oh wait, I know that. Oh, that's where that's from. Okay,
Wild.
Jeez. Yeah. I was just the more you go into some of these creatures, you're just like, okay, yep, okay,
That happened, and then it led to this, and then if Stephen J. Cannell, the king of trash, fun, campy TV, calls you up, you're in for a fun ride.
Oh boy. Okay, Brides of Blood. I'm looking at this.
Oh my God.
Jesus God.
And they were always catchy with the names to where it's like you weren't surprised when it was like on antenna channels years later. You're like, yep, that kind of movie.
The Mad Doctor of Blood Island.
Jesus. Yeah, there was a series of Blood Island movies that he did.
There was a weird movie. It comes up once again. It's kind of like Force 5. It was kind of like that, where they had all these martial artists and then these horror type scientists and then all these other different snakes they were fighting and everything. And it was in the 80s, and it's one of those other movies. It's under like
Treasure of the Four Crowns.
No, it wasn't that. Indiana Jones went close, very close. What's the name? It's also got like Force something in it.
Shit. Okay. Oh crap!
1982, I think. Raw Force. That's the one.
Raw Force. Okay.
And it's just one of those other just movies that it's campy, it's wacky. It has Cam Mitchell, Hope Holiday, John Dresden. It was once again made in the Philippines, distributed by American Panorama. Oh man,
Jesus.
Yeah, and see, I just loved how that was kind of how people had to carry a movie. There's also this one with this guy who did all these crappy just Rambo and just Billy Jack knockoffs called Jungle Wolf, but he did all these other apocalyptic movies like Karate Cop with Omega Cop with Adam West, but his intro was doing a 70s movie called Death Machines.
Yeah. Red Brown did a movie called Strike Commando.
Yeah, yes. I mentioned Strike Commando too earlier because of the Richard Harris connection, but that one is legit.
And then Strike Commando 2 has a guy from The Rookie who plays Smitty now in it as the lead in Strike Commando 2.
Yep. I was fortunate enough to interview him, Brent Hoff. Yeah.
How is he? Good guy?
Really, just rare sense of humor. Doesn't take himself seriously. He's just like, hey, yeah, I was a model and I was an actor and now I'm on TV. Very thankful for the business as opposed to, just unlike some of these other guys where it's just like, uh, you're not, you don't feel like they're going to make everyone's life on set chaotic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw like his Strike Commando 2, and I enjoyed it. And then he also did something called The Perils of Gwendolyn. It's a weird little movie, but and cheap.
Oh, that was a remake, like those old school serials, right? If I remember,
it could have been.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of funny because I remember watching an episode of The Rookie where somebody sees a picture of Smitty from back in his Strike Commando days, and he's like this handsome guy. He goes, "That's Smitty."
I love those where I like when they actually make an effort, and it's not just their IMDb, or Actors Access, portfolio photo. It's actually just like something from another movie. They did that with Ed Harris in The Rock. You look at his portfolio, his dossier, and it's a early photo of him from the Nick Nolte movie Under Fire. Yeah, it's just fun. Just if there's anything movie and TV people love, it's making fun of just other obscure stuff they've seen, and it's just, you like it when actors just value everything they do, and they're not so ego-headed to where they're going to talk shit about their movie if it doesn't make over 20 million at the box office. There's a sense of respect and gratitude, as well as, I gave it my best shot. If you like it, fine. If you don't, you don't. I'm not, I'll be caught dead, talking shit about it. I'm still gonna sign an autograph for it. I feel like that sense of respectability is kind of gone. You see so many people just overpraising their movies or talking shit about it when it hasn't even been 10 years.
Trying to think, Catwoman would be a good example.
Oh yeah, well, to be fair, she at least was a good sport and accepted the Razzie for it. But yeah. I mean, somehow people would just, especially by 2009, people would just talk shit about all their movies. I'm like, well, come on, guys, you wasted 6 months out there. Surely you had something good come out of it. You got a career boost. You made some friends. No, well, jeez.
All I can say is, like, when she came out and accepted the Raji, she goes, "I'd like to thank my agent for
that piece of cat
putting me
shit.
in this piece of shit."
Yeah. I remember Christian Bale bashed Terminator Salvation when the next one was coming out, and I'm like, dude, you snuck into the editing room on that fucking movie. You thought it was the best thing since sliced bread since you were working on it. Just chill out. I don't get why people, Stallone is the biggest contrarian. It's just like, and it's a shame that he pissed off all these extras on his new gangster show. I'm like, come on, dude. Do you
Why is it not coming back?
No, it's coming back. It's just they filmed it in Oklahoma. Now they filmed it in like Atlanta, but he decided to be a dick because he's still clearly sour about not having the rights to Rocky. I'm like, well, dude, here's the thing. You've resurrected your career like 3 different times. Can you just take a chill pill instead of being an asshole to everybody?
Yeah. I thought he had a heavy hand in, like, the Rocky films and Creed.
I mean, he's the writer, but he didn't own the character. That's what he was pissed about. And Irwin Winkler, I think, finally passed away, and he's just mad that he can't get the rights from his estate. And I'm just like, well, here's the thing. Like, he would just want to do 20 more sequels to it, not clueless to the irony. Is like, dude, it was fine. You don't have to do sequel after sequel. You should take this.
That's what gets me, because after he did the 6th Rocky, it should have stopped there. But I think people were saying, hey, maybe Apollo Creed has a story tapped in it or something.
He did it with Rambo too. I'm like, you don't need to make another Rambo. I just saw the latest Expendables, and I got to tell you, dude, I thought it can't be that bad. It was never going to make that much money, and critics always hated it. Ooh, Andy Garcia was. I am curious about that man, and I'm also very worried about him. He had some very broken up speech, and this is like the 5th movie I've seen him in recently where his dialogue's kind of like he could barely pronounce the terrorist name he was pronouncing. I'm like, is he recovering from a stroke or something? And long story short, just everybody's character was very confused.
Yeah. If I was in that movie, I would have been, if I was Andy Garcia, I would have been like, look, I'm still recovering from Godfather 3. Leave me alone, because I remember him in Godfather 3 and I was going, Jesus Christ, how much over the top can you be in this, Granted, I love the Ocean's movies, but, he was good. He was, it's, I don't know. I think sometimes when you make movies, you got to learn when to stop making the sequels, and that's what I'm happy to
well, much like even TV shows, don't write yourself into a corner. Always have an exit strategy. Don't get spoiled by the success. Just say, hey, I gave it my best shot. If I make a movie, especially with you guys, I want to take, what we make off that movie, and then we plan what do we do after that, instead of, and it's harder even with an indie film. I see people who are filming like all 3 of these films back to back, and it's like, I'm glad that you got a pre-approved picture deal, but this movie isn't good for 3 to 5 movies. You should just do something different each time. And don't confuse quantity with quality, and don't.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.